going to.
You want to go on the further back?
Well, I'm worried about the engines on the back really. Spring it forward, he'll be alright there.
So if you can, you can first off say who you are and what number boat you are.
Okay, I'm John Fuller, driving boat number 43, which is a Phantom 32, and running in RB4 class.
And how was your run today, John?
Very bumpy, but not too bad. We got suspension seating in the boat, which has made things much better than if we didn't. So that was quite a relief. Yeah, it was a long way and it was bumpy, but it could have been a lot worse. We didn't go particularly fast, to be honest, but it was obviously fast enough today, so we're quite pleased.
And what's your overall race strategy going to be?
Finish. I think it's all about finishing. This is really the long game and not the short game. So we're not going to be busting the gut to try and be the fastest people in the world. It's not a particularly fast boat. It's a big boat that's reasonably fast, reasonably comfortable, not very noisy like that one.
So John, the start today, there was quite a lot of incident and seemed like there were a bit of confusion about where this submarine barrier was and stuff.
Yeah, I think the problem is we were mustering, the muster area was quite close to the submarine barrier and the tide was running toward it, so there were people, circling and mustering and probably just didn't realise that they were being drawn over. We came very close ourselves, actually, to be perfectly honest. It was suddenly realised the poles were there and we're lucky enough to avoid it, but I don't think Fabio's been so lucky today, which is not very good. I've seen a few boats hit that, so we all know it's there.
I would imagine the mood on his boat when, with his navigator in particular, when they hit that was probably not that great.
I don't know whether that would be down to the navigator in the muster area. I don't know whether Fabio would blame anyone for that. The thing is, he loves a challenge. He had terrible luck on the last one 24 years ago. The crane driver dropped his boat on a bollard and put a big hole in it, and they repaired it overnight and won the race the next day. So I'm sure he'll come out and prove how good he is.
Excellent. And for tomorrow, do you have to do anything to your boat to get it ready for tomorrow?
Yeah, we've got a bit of finishing off to do, to be perfectly honest. We only finished the boat at 6 o'clock this morning. In fact, we were trying to launch it at 3:30 on a slipway this morning in the rain, and that failed miserably. And the guys down at Drivers' Wharf very kindly launched us at 6 o'clock. I text messaged them at 3:30 this morning and got a message back within 5 minutes saying they could launch us at 6. So they were incredibly helpful, but we were still bolting bits on and messing around this morning at 6 a.m. So there's a few bits to finish. We didn't even have a deck for this boat 3 weeks ago. It's really been right up to the line trying to get it finished. So plenty of work to do, and the strategy is just go easy.
It seems like a lot of competitors, there does seem to be a real camaraderie and people trying to, there's a rivalry there, but people do seem genuinely interested in as many boats finishing as possible.
Absolutely. I think powerboat racing is pretty good for that anyway, and I think that something like this, an endurance event, it really brings it out. Everyone knows that it could be them tomorrow that's really struggling for something. We had another team, they're not in our class to be fair, but they were really helpful with us yesterday with power and stuff, working in the pits trying to get this finished. And they were great, really great. So no, I think there is a lot of camaraderie, especially with an endurance event like this. So it's really nice to be part of it. Really very good.
And is there a particular leg that you're looking forward to, just from a racing environment point of view or scenery point of view?
No, I think the leg I'm looking forward to is the last one, because I'm not looking forward to tomorrow at all. The weather forecast is dreadful. And I've never been round Land's End myself in the boat, so I'm quite nervous about tomorrow. I think it could be horrible. So no, the only one I'm really looking forward to is lowest off to Portsmouth to get it all over with. It'll be a great relief. We've been working on this round the clock for weeks now. I'm absolutely exhausted, and this is just kind of the final bit. And although I'm loving it, it'll also be really quite nice to get it finished. So, yes.
My name's Greg Marsden. I'm the lead skipper of Vampire, which is boat 102 and part of the Pulsar racing team.
And how was your leg today?
Greg,
yes, sorry, so many names today. How was your leg today, Greg?
Yeah, it was really good. Actually, we had a really good first leg. It was a shakeout leg, just to see what would go wrong if it could go wrong. But touch wood, nothing major has happened. We've got the feel of the boat. It was quite rough, quite choppy, quite bouncy. The boat coped particularly well with it, and actually probably the best conditions for us makes it a little bit more competitive.
And what about the start? There seemed to be a lot of problems at the start with people drifting over the submarine barrier and.
Yeah, it was the submarine barrier is a bit of a schoolboy error, and that's something we didn't have a problem with. People just need to be a little bit more careful, when they're doing their pilotage.
And were there any key moments along the way for you? Any really nice bits of water for you, or bad bits of water? If you can name names of stretches. We
decided to take a straight line route, which took us straight across Line Bay. Saved time. It was quite bouncy, quite rough out there. But again, we were in essence a 4x4. So the lumpier it is, the more competitive we are. So more of that, please.
And what's your overall race strategy?
Obviously to win our class, but make every leg. I think that's to get actually round the course is probably our first aim. How competitive we are in the great scheme of things doesn't really matter, because of the different classes. It'd be nice to come somewhere high up in our class, and be competitive. But I think you'll be competitive by default if you actually, play a long game rather than a short, furious game.
And is there anything you need to do before tomorrow's leg?
Have a wee. I'll be busting for about 4 hours, but apart from that, we've got a few minor tweaks to do before tomorrow, just to make ourselves that extra 5%, and bolt everything back down, and I'm pretty relaxed about the whole thing, really.
And just cap from me, whereabouts are we going from and to tomorrow?
Leaving here tomorrow morning, round to Milford Haven. The leg is about 200 nautical miles. We'd look to do that in about 8 hours, depending on the sea state and the weather. The weather forecast is pretty ropey, pretty rough tomorrow. Suits us perfectly, actually. Will hamper some of the faster, bigger boats, the hard boats. So, for us, we've got exactly what we want.
Brilliant.
What do you reckon? Is it had too much petrol on it? Perished. Yeah, petrol and plastic doesn't make sense. Do you wait and smell them when
Hello, Sam.
Hi guys, I've just been talking to your teammates over there. I was wondering okay, so how did your race go today?
Very good. Had a great time, enjoyed the experience. Got a small bit wet, a small bit slow. We're here in one piece, delighted to be here.
And what's your overall strategy?
We're here to complete it, not to win it, so we're doing all right. Put gear bag and lock, we'll go to the next stop.
And the start today how did the start go for you guys?
Very good. We were in the first 10 boats over the line, and then they all passed us out. That's the way it goes.
There seemed to be a bit of problems. A few people seem to be struggling with the submarine barrier back at Portsmouth. I wondered if obviously
we struck it ourselves. We only barely glanced off it and did no damage, but it was very poorly marked. I would have figured there should have been some form of mooring buoy or cardinal mark or something on it, but these things happen, I suppose.
It seems like a couple of boats has caused them really big problems.
Bootsies missed this leg, and another two, I think 3 boats are in trouble with propellers and things.
So, and what does that mean for their race in terms of, puts them quite a long way behind or possible disqualification? Well,
no, they missed this leg. Worst case scenario, they miss this leg and they start again tomorrow morning.
And yourself, sir, are you on the boat? If you can name names and...
Line Bay was particularly interesting, very rough, short sea, so we were bouncing around quite happily for 5 hours, I would guess. And that was the difficult part. The early part of the race was quite easy, and coming in around into Plymouth Harbour was fairly straightforward. But we were happy with our time, we were happy with our performance, and thankfully we didn't lose a propeller in Portsmouth, and very good day.
And tomorrow, where are we going from and to, and what sorry, if you can just let me. Where are we going from and to, and what are your expectations for tomorrow?
We're heading from Plymouth to Milford Haven tomorrow. Expectations are for us to. This is probably the most difficult leg. Weather forecast is not good. It's very, very long. We really just want to get around, get finished, and get in. Have a beer and check all the bits haven't fallen off again. So it'll be interesting.
And your teammates behind you over there, did they come in ahead of you or behind you today? Is there any rivalry between the two boats?
Not at all, really. He's faster.
So there's no rivalry.
Slightly madder, and as you can see now, putting spare parts back on boat. But we're a team, so if he comes in ahead of us on any of the legs, great. It counts for the team.
Fantastic.
We have switches coming down.
Yeah.
That is working. Come over here and you'll see it.
Running repairs.
Right. See it? It's working. It's the bloody switches. They've been failing one after the other. But we have them.
We have the technology.
Did Peter arrive yet?
Nice. We've got to go up and give him a hand.
He's probably trying to find it in the van. No, I'd say, with due respect.
I go up to.
What do you do with the screw steering car?
I put it into the bag.
You
You
got
asked
the
me to put
switch.
it.
It's the switches.
I want-
Gone again.
I need to see the switch.
You will see this one.
I'll come back, don't worry, you won't get missed out.
No,
It won't stop us from refuel now.
no.
Go ahead, Justin.
So first of all, if you can mention your name and what your role is.
I'm Tony Roussel, I'm a senior scrutineer and we are scrutineering the boats for around Britain. We are now in Plymouth and this is after the first leg. After the first leg we like to see that the helmets are all properly undamaged and that the flares and the engine mountings and generally the whole state of the boat is in safe condition. That if anything has been broken, then we would like to know about it and then we can go and assist them to rectify it if it needs to be.
And so far, how are the boats looking?
On the whole, we've only got about 3 boats that we personally can't pass at the moment.
All right.
But as soon as they've carried out the necessary repairs, we will be looking at them again.
And tomorrow is quite a big leg up to Milford Haven. Weather's supposed to be fairly bad. Any thoughts on that? What sort of problems might crop up for some of the racers?
Looking at it, we're hoping that they'll take it sensibly around the islands because when we will be at Milford